More than 25 years ago, two young men wrote songs about the journey they were on. But life happened. Families, careers, the songs were lost. That is, until recently, when the original demos were found in a cardboard box. Now, with those songs rebuilt, remade, and released, Shon and Marcus are sitting down with their sons Austin and Samuel to talk about what they were trying to say all those years ago. This is Hidden Tracks, a conversation across generations about songs and the lives that led to them.
Hello, welcome to the show. My name is Austin, this is Shon, this is Marcus, and this is Samuel. Thanks for listening in today. We've got a great show for you. This is called Spectral Hymns, the new EP that's going to be coming out from the new band Twin Wolves. Now, these tracks were written about 25 years ago, right around the turn of the century. They were lost. They were recently discovered by the both of you. Today we're going to be breaking down your track, Invisible. Now, Marcus, I want to go to you first here. When you were writing Invisible, what were you really trying to work out when you were first starting to work on this?
Well, it started as poetry, like most of my stuff does. I've got an old poetry book here from those days that I have so much stuff scribbled in, some of which would never make a song, and some of it does. And as I write those things, I would send them to Shon, and he would generate music to them. So it's pretty neat writing a poem and seeing it come to life. But this was one I never thought anyone would ever hear other than Shon, because of the sentiments that are in it are kind of private to me, I guess you could say, in the sense that it's a side of me a lot of people do not get to see, because as a teacher and as a preacher and everything I've done in life, I seem to be always in front of people, being the one who's speaking and talking and engaging. Most people would never guess that I'm really an introverted guy, and I thrive on having time alone. And then, of course, in true Gen X fashion, I was raised as sort of a free-range latchkey kid by parents who were working and everything, and so I spent so much time alone as a child and as a young man, and too much of that can lead to loneliness. But there is a big part of me that craves that feeling of truly being alone. And so when I was writing that I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be known, I just want to be invisible, that is often how I feel about life. I think a lot of people wouldn't know that about me. And so this one felt like, I don't know, I was releasing a part of who I am that was risky, because I guess when we started putting the album together, that was one that I knew had so much of me in it. It was revealing, and it kind of made me feel on the spot. But I've come to realize that's a good thing, to be comfortable with who you actually are, instead of always trying to be somebody else. And I think that's what that song is kind of autobiographical of who and what I really am.
One of the things when we started putting these tracks together, we found, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 songs, and we're going to release 6 here and 6 down the road. But what we found is we were sort of telling the same story in different ways. And we've called it the Awakening Arc. It's flashing up on the screen actually right now. And this first track, Invisible, in this narrative arc that the album produces or tells, the story it tells, is called The Hidden Self. And it's sort of a pre-conversion idea when it comes to faith, that this is who I am, this is my natural self, this is what I've discovered about myself. And I think all of us operate from some basis of fear or some version of fear. I know for Marcus and I, we kind of share this, that it's probably a derivative of fear that's probably closer to shame. Like, we're easily embarrassed. We don't want people to think, certain things or whatever. And so we want to stay private. We want to keep to ourselves. And that definitely came through in what he wrote. And I think that's why this is the first track on the album, because this is at the base level, before any other inputs, before the impact of faith and everything else. Like, this is just who I am at the base level. And I was interested to hear, Samuel, your take. So just for those of you who don't know us, Austin is my son and Samuel is Marcus's son, both great musicians in their own right. But we've asked them to join us for this conversation. So one of the things I heard from Marcus was that when Samuel heard this track, Invisible, he sort of said, like, I knew immediately this is what you're trying to say. Like,
Yeah.
what did you hear?
Well, it has been a really fun experience having Dad just like slowly send me the songs as you guys were like finishing them up, and me getting to kind of analyze what's there without being able to like just have the lyrics in front of me. But Invisible was the first one I heard, obviously, because it was the first track, and I could pretty much immediately tell what it was about. You know, as Dad just mentioned, it's about a piece of his life that a lot of people don't get to see, but obviously I'm not included in that because as his son, I see every piece of him, and I've seen moments where you seem extremely, you know, extroverted and outgoing. I've seen moments where you very obviously want to be alone, be invisible, and so it made perfect sense to me when I heard it. And I guess you just mentioned that you feel similarly as well, so I guess it makes sense. You know, you singing the lyrics and you producing, you both have similar feelings about that aspect of life. But yeah, it was just it's been cool to see the poetry from your personal life and what I've heard you talk about your experience with introvertedness be put into a song like that, especially on one of the tracks that I would say is my favorite on the EP.
My thoughts exactly. I mean, just listening to it, I took a little note the first time I was listening to it before I went and heard the lyrics as well. Just like, what did this make me feel? What's the vibe of this song, so to speak? And yeah, the first line I wrote was isolation and helplessness in this isolation. Not necessarily that you feel helpless, but that there is helplessness in it. And that's the theme of the song I kept feeling was, I like being alone, but this is causing me my own issues. I'm helpless to fight back against this thing that is my comfort and my undoing. It was really cool to hear. The other thing that I made note of was the dueling violin part in the bridge. Felt the conflict of the piece there, and the beauty in all of these emotions being wrapped up in the melody and counter melody there. It's just, it's good. It's good. It's my favorite part of that piece. But ultimately just wanting to be in the stillness, being alone, that is a feeling that I think most people who have ever been burnt out, who've ever been, as you've said, have to put on this face, this mask of, I have to be this person. Whatever that person may be, whether it's an extrovert, whether it's stepping up and being the dad that you never had to be, whether it's being the preacher man, whether it's being this cult of personality that holds all these people together, that's not me. But I have to be that person. And the pressure and the responsibility that comes with that you can then let loose when you're alone, it's a very powerful, strong feeling that you guys capture very well in this.
Well, there's an important word in the hook, and it's sometimes. You know, you talk about, I want to be alone, I want to be invisible, but the actual line of the chorus is, sometimes I want to leave myself for a while. Because sometimes you do want to be that other person too. You know, so there is joy in all of the things you said. It's not as if being a leader or being out front or, you know, having a family is a burden, but sometimes you want to leave that for a while and just be yourself. I don't know if this was the first song we did. It was very early.
It seems like it's an old one.
Yeah, it was very early in the process. I think we wrote pretty consistently between like 98, 99, and probably 2001 or 2. This was pretty early in the process. And I remember reading the line, I think it's in the first verse, that says, my knuckles are subdued. And it was just sort of like one of those, like, whoa, that knocked me out, you know, sort of like the first time I heard, you know, Bob Dylan or something like that. You know, it was like, what a cool way to say I unclenched my fist, you know, like what a cool way to say, oh, I can finally relax, that my knuckles were subdued. And but the one I wanted to ask you about actually is in the second verse, where you talk about golden keys and taking me inside and this sort of thing. Is this something we've talked about before? I think it's a really cool concept.
It's about going to that individual kind of secret place within yourself where authentically you are 100% you. And that's not to say, a minute ago you said mask, and I don't want to give off the impression that I'm fake most of the time.
No, of course not.
And then there's this other part of me. But I think we all have that authentic kind of room somewhere inside where we're absolutely who we are. And for me, it's kind of like I was thinking about, as Sam was talking a minute ago. He sees me, get up in front of a crowd and preach and lead a building full of people on Sunday. And then he sees me on Monday, which nobody sees. And Monday, I am in my cavern. I am alone. I am quiet. I do nothing. I'm a hermit. But I do that not because I dislike people or I don't want to be in a leadership role. It's more like the retreat that recharges and heals me to do it again. Whereas a person who's extroverted kind of thrives on interpersonal interaction, and the more people they've interacted with, the more excited they are. Too much interaction with people tends to make me feel drained and like I'm needing a recharge. So it's that the doorway to the inside. That's always been kind of the golden key for me to be able to get in there and recharge. So that's precious to me, but I know a lot of people wouldn't understand that. I have people frequently say, well, the next time you have a day off, come over here to my house and we'll do X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, that would not be a day off.
Exactly.
That would not relax me. That would not do. But to explain it to someone who's on the other side of that idea, might seem a little alien to them. Like, this guy wants to be completely alone. Why? And again, it goes back to my fairly isolated upbringing, but also just my personality. So it's about kind of retreating within, but it's a needed retreat. It's not out of a drive for self or anything like that.
Well, I think one of the things that this sort of transforms into as it becomes an album about faith and about the spiritual journey from beginning to not end necessarily, but to where we are today, is that it can transition from I just need to be alone to I want to be alone in your presence, which the song talks about too. So it's like alone but not alone, but alone. Mm-hmm. A lot of these topics we were writing about, but maybe didn't even know we were writing about it. Now, he probably had a better idea, more awareness of that than I did at the time. But it showed up in the production. One of the things from the original demo is that the original demo was pretty busy. It had a lot going on. There was distorted guitars and a lot of echoey voices and things. In fact, I'll play a clip of it for you guys right now.
I remember it being a lot more bombastic.
So you hear the electric guitar, the oh, some harmonies. And what I feel like I learned as I started to work on these and reproduce them was like that was just the wrong feel for the song, because the song was about being small and being alone and being invisible. And so the track needed to reflect that, and it didn't originally the first time around. But we had a chance to redo it, and so with what we did with the production this time was really stripped it down. I think it's the only song on the album, maybe both albums, that doesn't have any vocal harmonies at all. It is just the one voice singing alone, which totally makes sense. The instrumentation is also very stripped down, very organic. It's strings, it's acoustic guitar, it's a live drum kit. It's not a lot of electric instrumentation like you hear in a lot of the other songs, again, wanting just to kind of keep that very personal, organic feel to it. So the challenge from a production standpoint was how do you keep the intensity and the sort of fullness and density of the track, the original track, while stripping it down to its bare bones. And so what I tried to do is sort of layer some different things with the strings. I think I understood better what Marcus was trying to say, and so I wanted to make sure that the record reflected that. And so this is a few different clips kind of soloed out here. I think it starts with strings only, just so you can hear what's underneath. So then the string and vocal, just to kind of give you a little bit of a sense. So that ambient noise is underneath the whole time. And then we'll solo out the guitar part here. And you can hear it's pretty busy. And it's got some melodic notes and things sort of underneath. So that was how I went about trying to make sure that the track was still as kind of dense as the original without the distorted guitars and the layered vocals and everything else. And then this is the sort of final clip of that same section of song. So it's still pretty full sounding. It's still kind of got the same
But not
punch.
near as much
Noise.
grind.
Yeah.
Or not grind.
The original version almost sounded Alice in Chains-esque.
Yeah.
Like from
Exactly.
Sap, where
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
like experimenting with their acoustic guitars
Yeah.
while still having that Jerry Cantrell really like hard distortion on top.
Exactly.
Yeah, so, it was kind of a fun way from a production standpoint to try to make sure I was doing my part to capture what he had put on paper about how he was feeling and where he was at that time and match the energy. So it's quiet, but it's still intense, it's still powerful, I guess, which I think that feeling is. I think some of the best things that we create, whether that's a sermon or a poem or a song or whatever, come in those quiet, invisible moments that you're alone and you're thinking to yourself, you just have the freedom to do those things. So, well, that's probably a pretty good segue. Thanks for joining us for the first episode here, and enjoy the first track on Spectral Hymns. This is Invisible.
It's alright here. Can see the textures here. Wonder if I'll find. Wander through my mind. I see an open door. My knuckles are subdued. And I sing to myself. Your songs of wonder. Your songs. Sometimes I wanna leave myself for a while to sing without shame and be alone, invisible. All too real, the sound of keys falling down like golden rings, finding their places, taking me inside. invisible.